I stand here, wrapped in the quiet and the cold, feeling the vastness around me like the space between the stars. It's an emptiness, but not one that frightens me. I chose this place, this way of living. There's something sharp and necessary about it. Like breathing in the thinnest mountain air where only a few can survive. The silence doesn't bother me. In fact, it's the only thing that feels real. I am the lone wolf, not because I can't join the pack, but because I see things they can't. I look beyond the warmth of the crowd, beyond the easy companionship, and what I see out here alone is a truth too raw for most to handle. They talk about strength as though it lies in numbers, in the comfort of community, in the hands clasped and shoulders leaned on. But I've come to see through that illusion. It's not that I don't understand the appeal, it's that I understand it too well. That security, that sense of belonging, they're fragile, like glass held up to the sun, waiting for the smallest crack. People cling to each other, huddling close to keep the darkness away, afraid to look out into the unknown. But out here in the dark, I'm not running from anything. I face the shadows head on, and in doing so, I've learned to see beyond what others will ever know. There's a kind of truth that only comes in solitude. A bitter truth that can cut through you and leave you breathless. It's not for the weak-hearted. I know that the world isn't kind, that the comfort they seek is just a temporary shelter. It can fall apart, and when it does, they won't be ready. But I will. I chose this path not to escape weakness, but to confront it. To know it so well that it loses its power over me. Alone, I can hear my own heartbeat, unclouded by others' fears and expectations. Alone, I see what's real. They call it isolation, but for me, it's freedom. Out here, I am stripped of the lies I used to tell myself, of the illusion society tries to force on me. Here, there's nothing to hide behind, and in that, I find clarity. They look at me and see distance, a coldness that doesn't seek their warmth. But what they don't realize is that this choice, this path, has given me a strength they will never understand. The warmth of the crowd is a fleeting thing, and it comes at a price I refuse to pay. This solitude is mine. I own it. I wear it like armor, and with every step I feel the strength of knowing that I walk alone by choice. In their eyes I may seem lost, but I am more found than I have ever been. I am the lone wolf, and I chose this path for the truth it reveals, the strength it demands. I watch them, the crowd, gathering together like moths to a flame, seeking comfort in numbers. I can see their need to belong, the way they huddle close to shield themselves from the unknown. They move as one, feeding off each other's presence, as though their very identities are bound up in the people around them. They call it friendship, unity, safety. But to me, it looks like a kind of dependency, a cage built out of familiar faces and shared fears. They wrap themselves in each other's arms, and in doing so, they become blind to what's beyond their own small circle. The crowd doesn't understand what I know, the strength that comes from standing alone. They have security, maybe, but it's a fragile, thin thing. One crack, one betrayal, and it could all crumble around them. I used to wonder what it felt like, that warm, false sense of safety, but I could never ignore the price they pay for it. They sacrifice their own strength, their own individuality, for the comfort of the pack. They become pieces of each other, fitting together in a way that feels secure. But in truth, it's just a prison they build for themselves. They're afraid of being alone, of facing the world without that net beneath them. But what they see as weakness in isolation, I see as a source of power. I don't need to lean on anyone, don't need to reach out for reassurance or approval. My strength is in my solitude. The path I walk may be narrow and steep, but it's mine alone. I know that when I fall, I will pick myself up. When the world grows dark, I am my own light. The crowd may be safe in their numbers, but I am safe in myself. Out here, I am free from the need to conform, from the pressure to fit into anyone else's expectations. I am free to be exactly who I am, to carry my own strength without diluting it for anyone else. The comfort they cling to, the hands held, the voices around them, the sense of belonging, is a beautiful lie. They don't see that it keeps them trapped, keeps them dependent on each other. But I see it, and I have chosen differently. My strength isn't rooted in numbers. It's rooted in my own resilience. It's a choice I make every day, to reject that comfort and walk forward, alone but stronger for it. I would rather face the world on my own terms than let anyone else dictate who I am or what I should be. The crowd finds its strength in each other, but I have found mine in solitude, in the clarity of standing apart. Pain has been a constant, a steady presence in my life. It's become a part of me, something I wear beneath my skin. I used to think of it as an enemy, something to avoid, to push away. But out here, alone, I've learned that pain is not something you can escape. It stays with you, a resident in the deepest part of your soul, a shadow that never leaves. But instead of fighting it, I've come to understand it, to let it teach me. Every scar, every wound, every betrayal has added to my strength. Each cut has left a mark, a reminder of what I've survived, of the resilience I carry within me. I no longer see pain as something to fear. It's become part of who I am, a part of my armor. People avoid pain, hide from it, bury it. They don't want to face the hard truths that come with it. But out here alone, I have no choice but to confront it. And in that confrontation, I found a power I never knew I had. Pain has shown me that I can endure, that I am stronger than I ever realized. I don't need anyone else to help me carry it. I carry it alone, and in doing so, I become stronger, harder, more resilient. I don't shrink from it anymore. I embrace it, knowing that each struggle, each scar has made me into the person I am today. They don't understand this resilience, this self-reliance. They think strength is about avoiding pain, about finding ways to numb it, to keep it at bay. But I know better. I know that real strength comes from facing it head-on, from letting it change you, shape you, until you are something unbreakable. Pain isn't an enemy, it's a teacher. It has taught me to rely on myself, to find the strength that doesn't depend on anyone else. I am who I am because of what I've endured, because of the battles I fought on my own. This resilience, this strength, it's not something given, not something that can be borrowed from others. It's something I've earned through every struggle, every moment of doubt, every lonely night. I don't need anyone to lift me up, I lift myself. I've learned to find my own strength in the darkest places. to draw on a fire that only I can ignite. Pain may walk beside me, but it no longer controls me. I control it, shape it, use it to make myself stronger. This path of solitude, of resilience, is my own, and I walk it knowing that I am unbreakable, because I have chosen to face what others fear. In the silence, I find a power I never knew existed. There's something in the quiet, something alive in the spaces between my own thoughts, when no one else is there to cloud my mind. Solitude isn't a burden, it's a gift. A rare clarity that only comes when I'm stripped of others' expectations. Out here, alone, I don't have to be anything but myself. No masks, no roles to play, no weight of someone else's judgment pressing down on me. It's just me, raw and unfiltered, facing the world on my own terms. There's a strength in that, in knowing I answer to no one, that I don't need to bend or soften myself to fit anyone else's comfort. In solitude, I've found my center, a place that belongs solely to me. It's like a fire I carry, one that can't be extinguished by the outside world because it's mine alone. This fire has its own light, its own warmth, and it grows stronger the more I nurture it. I know it sounds cold to those who depend on others, who find meaning in being surrounded by voices and familiar faces. They don't understand that there's a power in self-reliance, a quiet strength that doesn't need anyone else to affirm it. I am enough. I am whole on my own, and in that wholeness, I find a freedom that nothing else can give me. There are no false pretenses in solitude, no need to prove myself or seek approval. I live by my own standards, and that's the only validation I need. Others might call it loneliness, but they don't see the liberation it brings. They don't understand the calm that comes from knowing I am free from the weight of anyone else's expectations. Free to be exactly who I am without bending or breaking to fit someone else's idea of who I should be. This solitude, this self-reliance, isn't a prison. It's the most freeing thing I've ever known. Out here, I don't just survive. I thrive, fueled by a strength that belongs solely to me. They say I'm cold, that I've built walls too high to let anyone in. But what they see as hardness, as some kind of emotional distance, is my strength. To them it might seem severe, heartless even. They don't understand that this isn't a wall built out of bitterness. It's a foundation of resilience, something solid and unbreakable. Solitude demands strength that most people can't imagine. It's not easy to stand alone, to walk forward without a hand to hold. But that's where my power lies. I am not reliant on the shifting tides of others' opinions, on their fleeting sympathies or judgments. My strength is my own, drawn from a well that doesn't run dry just because I'm alone. I used to care what they thought, used to let their opinions sway me, used to want their approval. But those days are gone. I realized that strength can't be borrowed or built on someone else's foundation. It has to come from within, from facing the darkness without flinching, from learning to depend on myself when there was no one else to turn to. They might call it coldness, but I see it for what it really is. Resilience. I am not here to be understood, to be liked or even accepted. My path is my own, and it doesn't require anyone else's permission or praise. Yes, this journey is a hard one, and no, It doesn't always feel noble or empowering. There are nights when the silence feels heavy, when fear presses close, like an unwanted companion that I can't shake off. Pain is a frequent visitor too, a constant reminder of what it takes to walk this road alone. They don't see this side, the part that hurts, that struggles. To them, it might look like I'm unaffected, invincible even. But the truth is that fear and pain are always there. Shadows that walk beside me. I don't pretend they aren't real. I feel every ache, every weight that solitude brings. But I've learned to live with them, to make peace with the struggle. I've come to see fear not as an enemy but as a part of the journey, something to face, to acknowledge and then to move through. Others might think that facing fear means erasing it, but I know better. Fear never really goes away. It's the price of walking a path alone, of choosing resilience over comfort, and pain. Well, pain is part of the deal too. There's no way around it. But I've made it a companion rather than a threat. I don't fight it anymore. I carry it, knowing that it doesn't define me. It's just part of the landscape. Part of what it means to survive in this way. No one else needs to see the battle, to know what it takes to keep moving forward when the weight feels unbearable. This struggle, this inner journey, isn't for anyone else to understand or validate. It's mine alone, defined by my own resolve and my own choices. I don't expect anyone to understand what it takes to stand firm in the face of fear, to keep walking despite the pain. They might see only the surface, the calm exterior, the unbreakable strength. But I know the truth, that this journey is one of constant struggle, of pushing forward because giving up is simply not an option. I've learned to reject the need for validation, to let go of the desire for anyone else's approval. I don't need to be understood, and I certainly don't need to be admired for my choices. This path is mine, and that's enough. Strength isn't found in numbers or in the collective power they think they have. My strength comes from knowing that I can depend on myself, that I don't need anyone else to define my worth. It's taken time, a lot of time, to realize that I don't need anyone else to walk this path with me. Moving alone isn't something I do because I have to. It's something I choose, an intentional way of being that frees me from the expectations and judgments of others. In this solitude, I am free to be exactly who I am. I don't have to seek approval or adjust myself to fit someone else's standards. I walk this path for myself, and that's enough. There's no one here to praise me, to tell me I'm doing well or to give me a pat on the back. But I don't need that. I've learned that the journey itself is the reward. That walking forward, unencumbered by others' opinions, is a kind of freedom that most will never know. Moving alone isn't a compromise. It's a triumph. A choice that I make every single day. There is power in this choice. A quiet strength that others may never understand. I don't need their validation or their approval, and I don't seek it. The journey is mine, and I walk it with my head held high, unbroken and unafraid. I know that this strength, this resilience, is something that others might never understand. They might see my solitude and think it's a weakness or a burden, but to me, it's freedom, pure and uncompromised. This path isn't for everyone, and I don't expect anyone else to understand it. But for me, it's the only path worth walking. A path that leads not to approval or acceptance, but to a strength that is mine alone. I've let go of the need for others to understand me, let go of the desire to be seen or recognized in the way society often expects. I don't need their validation. I don't need to belong in their world, to fit into their version of success or strength. That's the trap. The idea that strength comes from being surrounded, from standing with others, from being understood or accepted by the crowd. But I know now that strength lies elsewhere, that real power is in knowing I can stand alone without flinching. I used to chase validation, used to crave some kind of acknowledgement from others, as if their approval could somehow confirm my own worth. But I've learned that worth isn't something they can give me, it's something I had to find within myself, on my own terms. The world values strength in numbers, measures worth by how many people walk with you, stand beside you, or praise your name. But to me, that's an illusion. Numbers don't make you strong, they make you dependent, make you adjust yourself to fit in with everyone else. True strength comes from being able to walk away, from knowing that I am enough on my own, that I don't need the crowd's approval or their acceptance. I've stopped looking for someone else to define my journey or to justify my choices. My path belongs to me, and that's all the validation I need. Moving alone, I've realized that the only voice that matters is my own. The only strength worth having is the kind that doesn't rely on anyone else. I see others desperately seeking validation, clinging to it as though it will save them, give them purpose, make them whole. But that need, that craving for acknowledgement, it binds them. It makes them bend, makes them shrink, forces them to mold themselves into something that the world finds acceptable. I've freed myself from that need. I don't require the world to see me or approve of me. I walk this path for myself, and I am at peace with that. Moving alone isn't just a choice. It's an act of defiance, a statement that my worth is inherent, unshakable, unbreakable. I don't need the world to see my strength, because I know it's there, forged by every step I take in solitude, by every challenge I face on my own. There is a fire inside me, something fierce and unyielding, a spirit that refuses to be tamed. This spirit, this inner warrior, it's not about battles fought with others or victories won in the public eye. It's a quiet strength, a relentless resilience that fuels me from within. People don't see this side. They don't know the depths of what it takes to keep going, to keep moving forward even when the road is steep and the weight feels too heavy to bear. This warrior spirit isn't something flashy or loud. It's a calm, unshakable resolve. A kind of strength that doesn't fade or falter when things get hard. It's the kind of power that others might never understand, because it's not for show. It's for survival. For the quiet satisfaction that comes from knowing that I am strong enough to stand on my own. I don't need an audience, don't need applause or recognition. This strength is for me, a reminder of what I've been through and what I've overcome. The world may never see the battles I've fought, the scars I carry, or the strength it takes to wake up every day and keep moving. And that's fine. I don't need them to see. I don't need anyone else to understand what it feels like to fight and win battles that no one else even knows exist. There's a quiet satisfaction in this, a deep, abiding strength that comes from knowing I can rely on myself. This warrior spirit, this resilience, it's mine, forged in the fires of solitude, unshaken by anyone else's doubts or misunderstandings. For others, the idea of solitude might seem like a punishment, a kind of confinement. But for me, it's liberation. This path I walk isn't a cage. It's freedom. In solitude, I am free from the weight of others' expectations, free from the need to play a role, to pretend, to be anything other than exactly who I am. Out here, alone, I am not bound by anyone else's limitations or definitions. I am free to define my own strength, to carve my own path, to live on my own terms. Isolation isn't a restriction, it's the opposite. It's a wide open space, a blank canvas where I am free to create, to exist in a way that feels true to me. Solitude has given me a clarity, a vision that's undisturbed by the noise and distractions of the world. I am not clouded by others' voices, by their fears or judgments. Out here, I see things clearly. I see my own strengths and weaknesses, my own desires and dreams, unfiltered and untainted by anyone else's opinions. This is my path, and walking it alone has made me strong, has shown me that I am capable of so much more than I once believed. The solitude that others fear has become my sanctuary, a place where I am whole, where I am powerful, where I am free. So I keep moving. I keep pushing forward step by step, breath by breath. I keep moving, not because I have to, but because it's who I am. This journey, this path of resilience and endurance, it's not something that can be completed or finished. It's an ongoing testament to my strength, a rhythm that pulses in my blood, a mantra that keeps me going. Keep moving. These words echo in my mind, a reminder that I am unstoppable, that no matter what comes my way, I will keep going. This is my journey, my story, a path that is as relentless as it is freeing. There's power in persistence, in refusing to give up, in continuing forward no matter the obstacles. This mantra, this keep moving, it's not just words. It's a promise to myself, a vow that I will never stop, never let anything hold me back. In every step I find a purpose, a reason to keep going. It's not about reaching a destination or achieving some grand vision. It's about the journey itself, the act of moving forward, of staying true to myself, even when the world feels heavy, even when the path is hard. The strength I carry, the resilience I've built, they're not about glory or recognition. They're about survival, about freedom, about the quiet, powerful choice to keep moving. This journey is mine, and I walk it alone, with my head held high and my spirit unbroken. I am the lone wolf, the warrior, the one who chooses solitude not as a limitation, but as a source of unshakable strength. I don't need anyone else to tell me I am strong. I know it, and in knowing it I find peace. I find purpose. I find the will to keep moving, always forward, always on my own terms.